Welcome back, guys. This episode of Gin Grass Fab, we took a Ford Excursion and a Centurion 4-door Bronco, and we had them make a baby. We're here to show you just how easy and possible it is for you to do this type of stuff also. Everything I build is built with a vise, grinder, and hammer and dolly. So if you have that stuff, you can do this also. Let's go check it out. What up, guys? Day one Centurion project. Doing a rebuild. It was on an 07 F350 chassis. We've now got, to be a little more correct, an 03 Excursion 6.0 chassis. So that way all the seat mounts, the steering heights, and everything will be perfect. Not worried about all the other mumbo jumbo I was trying to do with this just front plate of the firewall. Even though it fits perfect, so I'll be doing the same thing to the other one, skinning it. You can see it fits perfectly along the seams of the old set. So it's gonna fit in there nice. These are made to go together, guys. I don't know why more people don't do it. I've got most of the body prepped and cut. I'm getting ready to roll it under for its initial fitments. Didn't go close right here, but you can see I'll be doing all this stuff right here. I'll just finish skinning it, or I might have to cut in a little bit further. I'm not sure yet. We'll find out. The 03 Excursion. Next video will be for that. Here she is. She's all skinned. For the most part. Come back here, you can see I got her skinned right along this edge, and that's skinned out right there. And so we've got just a little tiny lip right here, and it'll sit about 3/4 of an inch over that gap right there. So that'll be perfect to sit right there and leave us still the inner wheel well. Some of this rear is gonna have to be hacked and relocated. My last body mount will have to be pushed forward. Currently, we have this one, and we have this one for the Excursion. But I'm like 6 inches too much. There's enough for me inside for the tank, that'll be fine. But we're gonna have to skin this body mount, and we're gonna have to move it up just a few inches there for our last body mount to be up here. Otherwise, we could just have a floating tail, and I guess that wouldn't be so bad. You can see our seams fit right together, right at 67 inches. I mean, it is so perfect. It's unreal. I love it. A little more done. Got her all de-skinned right here. Spot welds done for that last outer retaining layer. I'm keeping this outer layer instead of going all the way back to the original body pan for this piece. That way this can keep my dash correlation. I didn't want to chance risking any of that stuff yet. Once we get it all correlated in and everything welded from up here, and we'll probably end up removing more of this center section because it'll end up just being off of this outer seam. Will be up inside right here. And so we'll basically be able to get rid of these little extra runners inside there. All right, got a bit more of the cleanup done. Right along this edge, used to have a filler plate sitting in here. I just trimmed all the spot welds off there down along the edge. Here's this seam for this corner. I'll just be rebuilding this corner. Last thing, I've got to finish getting all the glue and prep down these sides off. That way we can get a nice clean weld right on those spot seams. It's gonna be perfect right through there, all the way down. Oh, he's getting excited. Come check out today's progress, children. All right, spot hole. Really loving the way all this is working out. This dash skin sits Sits right across right there. Just perfect. So we're gonna have very nice gap right there, which keeps our dash correlation for this front layer to the windshield skin correct. That way it looks perfect in there. Beautiful sitting back here. We'll just filler panel across the bottom so we can maintain the OBS trim. Right up the sides, you can see our dash mounts. Our dash correlation sits really nice across there. Couple little fillers to do right through there in that corner. We'll get it pinned down. All right, I gotta show you guys this. This is crazy. I finally got to the bottom of this corner. All this was in there, just foam and sealant and stuff. I see all sorts of seam sealer when I'm doing stuff. But they just covered up holes, sawzall marks. Terrible. Man, these Centurion guys really did a terrible job. This was all filled with foam. Just giant gaps. I mean, what a terrible idea, Centurion. More Centurion greatness. If this is quality, I am the best there ever was. So thankfully this isn't quality, because I am not the best there ever was. Here's the next part. Look at this. Thanks, Centurion. Wow, quality. Quality. All right, day one welding. We've got our dash correlation. You guys have seen that. It fits right against our window really well. Now we're just working on getting our transition panels in. See, the floor set's pretty good. And this side, transitions. You can see we got our spot welds done across the pinch seam. So now that we have the bottom correlation set with our floor pan, we have a couple tacks up on the dash, just correlating the upper cowl to the lower cowl. We'll pull the windscreen out and we'll do a full pin weld across it. And then we have just this tiny corner to fill here for an outside fill. Just right there. And then of course some work inside here, seaming these two pieces together and making them look happy. I had to move some things around, so I had to add in a 2-inch filler plate back here. I got it all set through. We added from here-ish to here. I wish I would have cut this through and butt welded it, so I would have been to have a seamless seal just like these ones, but it's okay and it works out. Same thing with these edge correlations. I'm disappointed and I may cut it out and redo it because I wish I would have done a butt weld instead of a lap weld. So again, it would have looked like this right here. You wouldn't have even noticed anything like I had ever even been in there. So again, don't lap weld, butt weld. It's gonna be near seamless up front, no filler panels. I'll get to stick most of this, just flop it up down. I'll trim down the side there to get it all the way up to maintaining the OBS wiper system. So that'll be stupid simple. This correlation here, I've got it a little bit rounded on my original wipe. So I'll straighten that up. We'll get rid of this extra outer skin here, finish skinning it everywhere I need to. And also down here, trim and skin. And then this correlation is gonna sit nice and tight along that whole thing. So this will be really beautiful sitting inside right here. All right, you can see we've got, this is the factory location for the OBS heater box. That's where the clip would have went. Sitting it straight, fits perfectly. I've just bent this correlation over just a little bit. I'll do my holes, I'll pull it out, clean it up, do my weld through primer in there, and we'll tack that all into place. And then I just have tiny correlation to set right there and a tiny correlation to set right here. Really happy with it. This side, same story. Factory location there for the OBS, as you can see. And I just bent it over. We'll do some spot welds and the weld through primer on the back side of it, and all that'll be a couple panels just like this. And right in. My seam sits here. My plug welds along there. Plug welds along there. Plug welds along there. And I will finish weld down through there and up and across. Panel set in, weld through primer in the background. That's all welded on the back side. A little bit of a gap there, but overall, really happy with the way it turned out. Got a ton of body work to do over here in the corners, but again, you can see all of the stuff here. This was all Excursion, and then the outside's all Bronco, and we're all one piece seamed together. Again, with just more spot welds like the factory. And here you can see Excursion, and you can see Bronco correlation, and I had just seamed the two, shoved them up together, wrapped them around, and spot welds again, so it looks factory. I just purely got no resolve over that. My correlation is just too close between my tire and the cab and everything else. I could do a ton of stuff, sectioning out the cab, scooting the firewall, moving things, but it's too nice right now. You can see that correlation is crazy tight. It is a two-wheel drive front end with no springs in it, so that's why it's sitting a little bit funky. I do have the 07 front end to go in and scoot it forward. It's about 3 inches. It's got to go forward to be centered with the wheel well there. I guess I'm thinking it may be easier just to do a custom front suspension, push that wheelbase out 3 or 4 inches up in the front, and then I can have this dash alignment correct, which will be a lot easier to deal with than just doing a custom front suspension. It fits along the front pretty good. I've got to do a little bit of trimming. The angle is just barely different. The edge of this windscreen curves in a little bit more than the Super Duty one. It's a little more flat. All right, today we got most of the front suspension ripped out. We've got the coil buckets to pull out. We've got our other coil buckets already done out of the four-wheel drive. We'll correlate our front alignment there. Today we got the front end underneath here. I've got the correlation set for my radius arm brackets. I'm scooting it forward, like I said, about 3 to 4 inches to make up for the difference for the Centurion body, so I can have my firewall correlation correct. The front clip is just slapped on, so I can correlate the front axle and get it set so it's all happy in there. Now we've got our front end correlation set. We've got our axle put in. It's pretty straightforward. Right here, super easy. That radius bolt is just going to line up with that bolt right there. So I'll set my radius arms and set those in there. The back hole of the original spring bucket now goes to the front hole of the old two-wheel drive spring buckets, and that sets me just about perfect there. Front end is all but in. We've got the steering stabilizer mounted. We've got the steering in. All right, track bar bracket's done. You can see I've got my frame correlation really nice. Made some 1/4 inch plate. Gusseting up through there. Got to finish 2 more holes for the mounting on the bottom. The core support here is another part. Pretty dang happy with the way everything's set. I was going to be using the stock 6.0 front core support, so it'd have all the correct radiator mounts and everything would be correlated with the fan and stuff. Here's the inner shrouds for the 6.0. I've got most of the stuff trimmed out on the OBS. You can see the little trim line right there. Once I get everything happy, I will go ahead and just do some tacks up along that trim line, and then we'll cut out the inside and then the rest of this inside, and we'll seam all these as one. And then we'll also, in the very back there, you can see my line. I'll trim up that line. That's where I'll do my removable core support. So it'll be just like an OBS. Then we'll just trim and weld and fit, and we'll fit all these inserts into the OBS panel, so it'll be one happy panel with 6/0 inserts. Here's my core support correlation. I undid all my spot welds across there. So this panel could sit on top of the red panel, seam it through really nice, and I'll take and flow this over, and we'll go ahead and spot weld it all down so it has a real nice factory look. Front clip set on there, everything pushed back here. You can see how I did the mingling just right there. So all of my correlations for the fan shroud and intercoolers and everything out would be perfect for the 6/0, but I've got all my stuff for the Bronco. Here's the front clip. Here's how we correlated the cowl. This original pinch weld was de-seamed, folded, and just set across there. Just trim passenger bucket and the driver headlight bucket out of there. And then we'll just put in our 2 inner fenders in our little slot skis, and they'll be poofed together. I've just de-skinned all of the inner fender for the right side, all the other little pieces, brackets that go across. I've got the battery tray on there. That'll just help me correlate where it's gonna go for this inside. I've got a starter trim for it. We'll have the new inner fender in here and correlated with the battery tray, and it should all be a happy setup. So you can see we've got it set in there. It's all good through there. We've got our washer bottle distances to make sure it's correct, and our battery tray installed. We're gonna do a little bit of mocked up right through there and trim work. I got overzealous on my first cut, unfortunately, so I'll have to repair that back stuff, but not too bad. But this will fit right through there. You can see that'll weld up just nice. Super silly, but everything correlates perfectly for the 6/0. Definitely coming together. Got our front end. We've got Super Duty Core Sport, Bronco Core Sport. They'll just become one right there. I've got to decide height. A little bit of adjustment to do to get that set. But other than that, we've got a little bit of bracing, and everything's in and mounted with, again, just spot welds like the factory would have done. The top correlation used to be spot welded. We took it off. I didn't like the way that flap looked. It just didn't look right. So instead now we've just got some little seams inside here, little 1-inchers with the filler and everything. It'll look great. So here's core support, OBS blue, obviously, and then the gray inside. If I would have been smarter, I would have cut this blue just a little bit different, but instead I had to add just a little panel, and then we'll go ahead and spot weld it up against there. These are our mounts. We still need those for the headlights. Everything fits. Here's your wire, your correlation for your power steering to go through. I had to do these little holes just for the condenser mounts. But like everything else on this thing, whew, it goes together really sweet. See, for this side I did a little bit better. I still cut too short on the bottom. It's my own fault, but again, we'll just spot weld it against it. We'll clean up all these edges, make it look pretty, and we'll spot weld just like factory stuff. Alright, you can see this, here it is. Got it all set together. Pieces come through. You can kind of see I've got a little bit more cleanup to do. I haven't sanded or anything, just basic grind. And so same thing, it just flaps over, and then just like these, we're just doing some spot welds up through. 7 or 8 of them on this panel, and that will hold that correlation there, along with all of our button welds up top. Be good. And then we'll just add some structure to our headlight mounts, and we'll be good to go. So everybody thinks Super Duty doesn't work with full-size door panels. There is some trimming. We'll do a little trim plate. Ta-da! Super Duty dash. Not my best work, but this is the start of the dash mount. Correlates through. I've still got to do some trimming back there, clean up a couple sections. I was hitting just a little bit with my inner side of my door panel on just that little piece, so I will end up cutting that out and reworking that a little bit, finishing up all that mount. Here's this side correlation. You're going to see fit with the fitter panel, and got a little bit of trim work to do. Fits through really nice. Again, mounts fit through with the holes. A little bit of trim work in the back there, and we'll do a really nice filler panel behind it, so you won't even notice this back plate. Getting the front core support all tied together, and I need to measure its height differences so I can make sure that my body line's good. And once I got that done with my friend here, he's really good at this stuff, I'll be able to finish tying in the front end, and we'll have a completed tied together setup I can just do all my finish work on, put the interior and the motor in out of said donor, and we'll be good to go. Super excited. I think everybody loves a good odd project, and this is definitely one of them. Not the oddest, but she will have 4 TVs. She will have rear AC. She'll have adjustable foot pedals, just like the Excursion. The 6.0 is pretty clean. It's a Jasper Reman. I don't know how many miles are on it, but it runs really good. No blow by, no nothing like that. So, great platform. Still got to figure out what I'm doing with this back area here. That's kind of a nightmare, I guess. But, till next time. Well, we're outside. So that means I didn't quite finish the Bronco before my lease ended. I should have worked on it a little bit more than the last, 45 days or so. I had the base for 2 years. I had plenty of time to do this and finish it. But of course, sometimes we slack. Family, 4 kids, life, things like that. I've only got a little bit of welding to do. I want to reseal the engine before we put her back in there. Here's everything as it sits today. Radiator and everything mounts in good. Airbox, intercooler pipes just set for clearance checks for the hood. Unfortunately, I've got to do a little bit of de-rusting now that I didn't get my sealing done beforehand. But I do want to get all my primer and sealing and seam sealing done. Then we'll be out doing donuts and burnouts and wheeling and testing and getting everything else done for it. My kids are super excited. Spring's just around the corner. We're in Utah, so this is like, almost wheeling capital of the world. We're gonna have a lot of good videos and a lot of good testing for you guys, and then we get to get started on all the other projects. It's obviously gonna go like this, unpainted for a little while, but all in all, I don't think anyone's gonna care. People are gonna love it. 6.0 noises, Chewbacca, it's gonna be wonderful. So for the remainder of the video, unfortunately, we'll be outside. We'll be out here doing it. It is a little bit cold, so we will have a little bit of a delay in progress, but it's not gonna be too big a deal. But again, here it is, ready to go.
Spin those tires! Spin those tires!
Superando todo lo